Imagine living without a fridge. Scary, right? For most of us, that's a nightmare. We rely on it for everything from last night's leftovers to our ice cream stash. But for the Amish, it's just daily life. They've mastered the art of preserving meat without a single spark of electricity using methods passed down through generations. And believe it or not, their techniques are so good they could put your fancy freezer to shame. In a world overflowing with gadgets, the Amish stand out by sticking to old school methods. No fancy tech, no refrigeration, just simple, time-tested practices. They are known for their self-sufficiency, but when it comes to preserving meat, they're in a league of their own. They don't just keep their food edible, they make it last and taste even better. I'll admit, the first time I tried Amish cured ham, I was skeptical. No fridge? Really? But the taste blew me away. It was smoky, flavorful, and lasted longer than anything I'd ever stored in my freezer. If you're thinking meat without refrigeration must taste old or dry, think again. The Amish have perfected these methods to not only preserve, but actually improve the flavor of their meats. Salt has been a trusty ally in food preservation for centuries, and the Amish have turned this simple mineral into an art form. When it comes to keeping meat fresh, salt is nature's oldest preservative, and the Amish know exactly how to use it to their advantage.
Well, the fact that salt acts as a preservative really reveals how toxic it is, because it basically kills life, and since there's no life, there's nothing to deteriorate further. So, calling it an advantage.
By rubbing generous amounts of salt onto cuts of meat, they draw out moisture, which is crucial in preventing pesky bacteria from taking hold.
The thing is, yes, such as the cured sausages and whatnot that traditionally were filled with spices, even some garlic, they for sure prevented insects from getting onto them because of the toxic smell and flavor. But the thing is, you are ending up consuming it, and even in the case of things that just have salt, you have to understand that salt in itself is not ideal. I mean, we are not mermaids or mermen.
Moisture is the enemy in the world of meat preservation, and salt is the superhero fighting against it.
Then again, you cannot call salt a superhero, since especially when it comes to, I mean, if it was made to clean some whatever, um, like as a product that you use to clean metals or something, yeah, but as in food, yeah, not really. When you dry out your meat, you get rid of the water soluble vitamins. Then you get no complete nutrition.
Using salt isn't just about sprinkling it on the meat and calling it a day. There's a technique involved, almost like a sacred ritual. The Amish carefully select their cuts, whether it's pork, beef, or even chicken, and then they don't hold back. They apply salt liberally, ensuring every nook and cranny is coated. It's almost like giving the meat a luxurious spa treatment minus the cucumber slices.
Uh, Talking about the spa treatment, when you go out to the ocean, like on a beach or something, you're giving yourself the opposite of a spa treatment, because you're basically drying out your skin through all of that amount of sodium chloride that is drying out the moisture that would naturally hydrate your skin.
Here's a fun tidbit. The phrase worth your salt originates from ancient times when salt was more valuable than gold in some regions. Roman soldiers were sometimes paid in salt. Can you imagine? Thanks for your service. Here's your salary in salt. The Amish tap into this old wisdom today, treating salt not just as seasoning, but as a lifeline for their meat. When I first witnessed the salt curing process, I was amazed. I thought to myself,
Talking about salt curing, there's book salt called The Salt Fix. it is indeed true that a lot of people who are now unhealthy, just like a lion that is in captivity, might end up unhealthy because of an unnatural diet, unnatural conditions. Then, if you release it back, he might crave licking some rocks as if he was a herbivore, and you will search them and will naturally go for them. And some people have that instinct to go after salt, but you have to understand that is not natural. Naturally, you don't feel that inclination as the carnivore that you have, that you are.
If I had to rely on this method for my dinner, I'd probably end up with a meat popsicle.
And I mean, if you try to get rid of all of that salt before you eat it, as in basically a rehydrate, like you dehydrate, now you rehydrate, maybe, and getting rid of the excess sodium chloride, maybe it would be okay. But this way, I mean, come on.
But the Amish, they've got it down to a science. The end result isn't just edible, it's a flavor explosion.
Oh my god, exactly. Natural foods are neutral. Water is slightly sweet, but it's neutrally sweet. A meat is slightly salty, but it's neutrally salty, or whatever. No natural food, as in our case, meat, eggs, and in the autumn maybe some berries, is extremely sweet. What you find in nature within those is extremely neutral. Only if you go for the honey, which we can call a natural food for humans in the autumn, then you can call it extremely sweet. But yeah, your teeth don't like that, so it's kind of a proof that it's not very great for us.
The salt seeps into the meat, enhancing its natural taste while acting as a shield against spoilage.
Sure, you get this factor that you can basically go down a bunker and live forever, but not really, because since you are getting an incomplete nutrition, you can never feel totally well in homeostasis, and since you are biochemically not ideally, um, you cannot possibly feel yourself through inner peace, through balance. You have to understand that nature has provided you with meat so that you hunt it, so that you eat it. You're not supposed to be thinking of all these things, all these preparations. None of this is can be called natural, even though you don't use a fridge. I'd much rather have an actual fridge and keep my meat there. A lot of people are very sensitive to histamines that build up through the aging of meats. So especially people healing, I understand that very well. You have to understand that nature has sort of design. If you go and think you are a mermaid and go into the ocean and fish a bunch of saltwater fish, you cannot expect to feel ideally. Then you'll crave sweetness because your body is too filled up with salt, unless you are in a healing process and have a unnatural, uncommon craving.
The beauty of this method lies in its simplicity. While many of us are busy stuffing our meats into fridges,
I mean, simplicity is you just go to the butcher. He gives you a lamb leg, for example, cut into 5 parts. You put in a fridge rack that, instead of being glassy, is already sort of a grill. And you just forget it. When you want to eat, you just open the fridge, grab one of those small pieces, cut as much as you want to eat, cut, eat, cut, eat. Take also from the butcher some ruminant fat trimming, some there is this sort of skin, which isn't skin, which is from the chest or whatever, which basically looks like the pasta that is seen in lasagna, those flat big ones. It's very tasty if you cut into small pieces. It's indigestible, so it will feed your microbiome, making your mitochondria work properly. There's also this yellow part, very narrow, looks like 2 fingers or something like that, 15 centimeters, about that. And it's also indigestible, and it's also, you might crave it once in a while. Yeah, what is natural for you, you can consume it raw, and you should consume it raw. Thanks for watching.